One, two. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I invite you to take your seats, please? Ladies and gentlemen, it is already 9:45. It's time to start to work. Give me a chance, please. Do be so kind. Take your seats, please. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very good morning. Let me please open today's session, and let me please immediately to pass the floor to Dr. Mechthild Rezla. Dr. Rezla, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning to you. All the people who came to the Bureau, please listen. There was a tablet left in the Bureau room. So anybody missing his or her tablet, please come to the podium, to the Secretariat to pick it up. That was... Is there somebody? Somebody missing a tablet? No?
Yes, he's on the way.
Ah.
At the end.
So this is the first, if you give it then. So the next point which was raised at the Bureau session is that there were bad weather conditions in Frankfurt yesterday. So the Arabic interpretation foreseen for today and tomorrow is concerned because the interpreters are arriving now, the Polish authorities, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair, to your colleagues, are arranging pickup at the airport, so this should be shortly solved. So this is the announcement I wanted to make. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It is simply a challenge for our police forces, but we will manage. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to make a small remark in my capacity of the chairperson at the beginning of our today's session. It is presumably not elegant to quote myself, but just one sentence said as my opening speech at Wawel on Sunday is concerned. I was just emphasizing that one of the greatest challenges facing us is involvement in politics and national interests that are undermining our actions. And it is our task to overcome these threats. It is the end of the quotation. The events that took place over the last 2 days bring me to the following reflection of a more general nature. I have the impression that certain issues are being tackled not with so much needed objectivity, but we have become instead the hostages of political challenges. Such developments happening during our deliberations put at risk the successful implementation of the noble purposes and objectives of the World Heritage Committee. Therefore, I would like to call upon all the members of the World Heritage Committee and the state observers to maintain the necessary serenity and goodwill indispensable to bring about satisfactory outcome of this 41st session of the World Heritage Committee here in Poland. And now we do start to proceed with our agenda item 8A, devoted to the tentative list and to the draft decision 41,8A. I would like to invite Mr. Balsamo from the World Heritage Center to briefly present the document WHC/17/41.com/8A. And it is the beginning of our today's session. Mr. Balsamo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Document 41,8A presents a tentative list of all state parties submitted in conformity with the operational guidelines as of 15 April 2017. And in particular, Annex 1 presents the overall situation relative to tentative list. Annex 2 presents all the new tentative lists or addition to existing tentative lists which have been submitted by the state parties since what the World Heritage Committee took note of at its last session. And Annex 3 presents a list of all properties submitted on a tentative list received from the state parties in alphabetical and regional order. As of 15 April 2017, of the 193 state parties which had ratified the convention at that date, 182 had submitted tentative list in accordance with the requirements specified in the operational guidelines. 11 state parties had not submitted any tentative list. All the nominations submitted for examination at this very session are included on the tentative list of the state parties concerned. Since the preparation of document 8A for the 40th session of the committee in 2016, up until 15th of April last, 26 state parties have submitted new tentative lists or modified existing lists. The number of new properties added to existing tentative list is 82, which brings the total of sites currently on the tentative list up to 1,710. Decision 41-8A is on page 2 of both the English and French version of document. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any Thank you for those explanations, and now I would like to invite state parties to express their comments concerning this document and adopt to the draft decision 41-8A. Are there any comments or objections? I see none. I declare draft decision 41-8A adopted and item 8A closed. Which means that I do propose now to continue the examination of item 8B, which is the most beautiful and the most sensitive part of our session in Krakow, nominations to the World Heritage List.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Lebanon.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je suis désolé d'intervenir sur ce point d'ordre, mais nous avons été extrêmement surpris de découvrir, il y a 2 jours, une version modifiée par le secrétariat du projet de décision 41-8B1 relatif à la vieille ville d'Hebron al-Khalil présenté par la Palestine. La version originale du projet de décision avait été mise en ligne le 30 juin 2017. Le 4 juillet, soit après l'ouverture de la session, le secrétariat a mis en ligne une nouvelle version du projet de décision, contrairement à toutes les règles et à tous les usages qui ont toujours été suivis par notre comité. En effet, lorsque des informations nouvelles parviennent au secrétariat ou aux organes consultatifs, il est d'usage que ceux-ci se réunissent avec l'État partie, puis publient éventuellement un amendement sur papier bleu qui est ensuite présenté au comité, le projet de décision d'origine restant inchangé. C'est par exemple ce qui s'est passé avec le site des parcs nationaux Chapada dos Veadeiros et Emas au Brésil que nous avons examiné avant-hier. Dans le cas du projet de décision 41-8B1 relatif à la vieille ville d'Hebron al-Khalil, il est clair que ni le secrétariat ni les organes consultatifs n'ont reçu d'informations nouvelles et que, d'autre part, les propositions d'amendement n'ont pas été discutées avec l'État partie. Il s'agit là d'un précédent dangereux qui contredit toutes les règles et procédures de notre comité et qui ne peut pas être accepté au risque d'ouvrir la voie à toutes les dérives possibles, les États parties étant mis devant le fait accompli de projets de décision manipulés et modifiés à la dernière minute sans aucune consultation. Sachant que certains projets de décision nécessitent des décisions au niveau des plus hautes autorités, il n'est pas admissible que des modifications de dernière minute soient introduites par le secrétariat. Monsieur le Président, il s'agit d'une position de principe. Afin d'assurer le respect des règles de bonne gouvernance de notre comité, nous vous prions de bien vouloir demander au secrétariat de rectifier immédiatement cette erreur et de revenir au projet initial tel qu'il avait été distribué le 30 juin avant l'ouverture de la session de notre comité. Si ceci n'est pas fait, ça veut dire que dorénavant, tous les projets de décision pourront être modifiés à la dernière minute par le secrétariat. Ce n'est pas admissible pour l'ensemble des États parties. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to ask Francesco Bandarin to respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, in fact, I confirm what the distinguished delegate of Lebanon said, that we decided to issue this new version for a reason that I will try to illustrate. If you look at the text of the evaluation of ICOMOS, it is a very unusual decision, a very unusual text in which there is no final recommendation so we looked at the thing and we decided to at least provide the committee with a summary, very succinct, very summary of the main conclusion of ICOMOS. Normally, in every other instance, ICOMOS will issue a recommendation, whether for inscription, non-inscription, referral, deferral, etc. In this case, this very important conclusion of the evaluation of ICOMOS was not present. So we thought that the committee did not have all the elements, at least in our decision, to be informed of what the main conclusion of ICOMOS were. And we thought that by adding 3 paragraphs that were somehow summarizing the main conclusions would be of help to your debate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Lebanon, the floor is yours.
Monsieur Bandarine, ce que vous dites est totalement inacceptable. Le comité a reçu l'évaluation d'ICOMOS. Il l'a lu entièrement. ICOMOS va avoir la possibilité à cette séance de donner son évaluation. Ce n'est pas au secrétariat de décider après coup ce qu'il peut mettre. Vous auriez voulu le faire, vous l'auriez mis dans le premier projet de décision. Ce n'est pas après coup, en dernière minute, qu'on vient manipuler des projets de décision. C'est inadmissible, Monsieur Bandarine. C'est un problème de principe. Ce n'est pas une question de détail. C'est un problème de principe. On ne peut pas faire ça. Si vous faites ça à chaque fois, il n'y a plus de règles dans le comité. Comment voulez-vous que le comité puisse, que les membres du comité, quand il y a des décisions qui doivent être prises au niveau des États parfois, il y a des décisions qui sont prises. Comment voulez-vous que ça se fasse lorsque le secrétariat manipule des décisions en dernière minute? C'est inadmissible.
Thank you. More interventions or comments? Cuba. Cuba has the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. Nuestra delegación considera que en ánimos de poder avanzar en este debate debemos volver a la versión inicial que fue presentada anterior sin esta recomendación de la Secretaría o sin esta información. Como bien dijo el delegado del Lío, todos hemos leído el informe de ICOMOS y da sus recomendaciones y todos podríamos también, a partir de la información que ellos brinden aquí, avanzar en este debate. Creo que sería lo más conveniente volver a la versión inicial que fue circulada y que leyeron los miembros una vez publicados los documentos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Tunisia wishes to have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'appuie totalement la position du Liban et du Cuba pour revenir à la version initiale, originelle de ce projet de décision. Merci.
Thank you. Poland wishes to have the floor. The floor is yours. Poland.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I see that there's some kind of confusion here at the floor. So if we would like to have more explanation, because if this amendment is not so well prepared, so maybe we should postpone it for later discussion and come back to the previous maybe text. That's why we should decide at the floor by voting for example, of this decision, of this possibility. And perhaps it would be necessary to have a secret vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in fact, we would like to ask for a secret vote on this particular item.
Monsieur le Président, il ne s'agit pas de discuter nous n'avons pas encore ouvert l'item 41 comme 8B B1 relatif à la vieille ville d'Hébron. Je ne discute pas, notre proposition n'est pas d'ouvrir aujourd'hui tout de suite c'est un problème de principe sur l'ensemble du COM 8B. C'est-à-dire, c'est sur l'ensemble des propositions d'inscription. C'est une situation de principe. Nous n'avons pas encore ouvert le COM 8B à B1. Le problème n'est pas là. On ne discute pas d'Hébron aujourd'hui. On discute maintenant d'un principe. Est-ce que le secrétariat a le droit, en dernière minute, sans avertir personne, de modifier des projets de décision qui ont été distribués à l'ensemble des États parties à l'avance et venir comme ça manipuler pendant la session, changer des textes? Est-ce que le secrétariat a le droit de le faire ou non? C'est ça le principe. Il ne s'agit ni d'Hébron ni de rien du tout. C'est un principe général.
Thank you. I understand firstly that the item is not open yet. Secondly, I understand that Lebanon just asked, wait a moment please, just asked to come back to the previous version. And I would like just to ask the floor if it is acceptable.
President, to be very clear, I don't ask to come to a previous version. I want everybody to agree that the Secretariat does not have the right to manipulate a decision, a proposed decision. The Secretariat does not have the right to do it at the last minute. Once a decision is sent to the state parties, une fois que les projets de décision sont envoyés aux États parties, the Secretariat cannot change it unless there is a real explanation for that, unless there is discussion with the state party, unless if there is new information, and this should be done with this kind of paper and not manipulating the original decision. It's an issue of principle. Hebron or other Hebron.
Thank you. It is the issue of principles, no doubt, but I'm not taking the liberty to overuse the word manipulation. Cuba and Kuwait.
Gracias, señor presidente. Creo que los colegas de la delegación de Polonia se han adelantado. No estamos pidiendo una votación ni una votación secreta. Este no era el momento de solicitar porque además para haber planteado que tenían ciertas dudas, parece que ya están muy decididos a votar de manera secreta. Entonces, este no era el momento. Se han equivocado. Otro elemento, creo que justamente haciendo gala de su intervención inicial al empezar esta sesión, debemos tratar de que en estos temas este tipo de cosas no sucedan, porque la Secretaría conoce la sensibilidad del tema. Todos los miembros del comité conocemos la sensibilidad del tema. Por eso le pido, señor presidente, que busque una mejor solución a este problema para llegar realmente al meollo de la situación, que es la nominación en sí misma. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you. Kuwait, the floor is yours, Excellency.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La délégation de Koweït soutient la proposition de la délégation de Liban et Cuba parce que c'est question de principe. On n'accepte pas que le secrétariat change la décision. Merci.
Thank you. Zimbabwe, Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Zimbabwe supports the proposal and the position of Lebanon and Cuba that the Secretariat cannot change a decision midway, and if we allow this to happen, we are setting a very bad precedent. Thank you.
Thank you. Peru, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Queda claro que no estamos viendo el tema de Hebron, ni el debate está centrado en ninguna cuestión sustantiva. Lo que se ha planteado es una moción de orden para llamar la atención sobre un problema que en realidad es procesal y que tiene que ver con la introducción de un documento que en principio no está amparado por las reglas de procedimiento. Yo no dudo que la Secretaría haya tenido buena fe en hacer uso de este procedimiento inusual, pero lo que se ha planteado es justamente que no procede conforme a las reglas de procedimiento. Y eso es lo que tenemos que decidir. Gracias, presidente.
Gracias. Thank you. Poland, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see that we are observing now the kind of confusion, of course, concerning procedures about this issue. So I would like to ask Secretariat for more explanation, because in fact that's difficult to decide, or which original document we discuss or this amended. So please for more information.
Thank you. Turkey has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also support going back to the original text because we received instructions according to the original text. Thank you.
Thank you. Croatia, the floor is yours.
Well, I would thank you very much, Mr. President. Well, first of all, I would like to ask you, Mr. President, and your collaborators to explain certain terms which were used now in this discussion in the last couple of minutes. Whether by presenting new text there was a procedural mistake made, whether or not. They were using some representatives of some delegations were using the term decision or recommendation. As from my point of view, there was neither. It was neither a decision nor a recommendation. So, with what kind of text are we dealing with? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me please Jamaica. Jamaica wishes to have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. We would wish to support the what is put forward for the original text to be kept, because our delegation would have assessed the file based on the original text. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we are still in the point of order. The item is not opened, but as in the view of the sensitiveness concerning this particular item of the agenda we are already discussing, as a matter of fact, I will ask the assistance of the legal advisor who is with us today, and would like to ask you, Madam, to comment this very point as the legal advisor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure that there's actually a question requiring legal advice. The rules of procedure are silent on this matter. There was the original decision and then with no text in the decision paragraph, and then a subsequent amended version of the decision, also with no decision text in that second text. The rules are simply silent as to what should be done in a case like this, or whether there is in fact any breach of the rules. I think it will need to be decided by the Secretariat and by the room, the way in which they want to handle this matter.
Thank you. There is still point of order, Lebanon.
Monsieur le Président, je pense que le legal advisor a raison. Il ne s'agit pas d'une question qui est inscrite dans les rules of procedure. Tout simplement, lorsqu'un draft decision est envoyé aux États membres, concernant n'importe quel sujet, il ne s'agit pas seulement de l'inscription, ça peut être une inscription, ça peut être un state of état de conservation, ça peut être n'importe quoi. Quand un draft decision est envoyé aux États membres, il n'est pas acceptable de le changer unilatéralement par le secrétariat, comme ça, parce qu'il a eu envie de le faire. C'est impossible. tout ce qui doit être fait au départ. Je comprends très bien que le secrétariat ait envie d'ajouter des choses, mais il le fait au départ. Il le fait au moment du draft decision, quand il a issu le draft decision et qu'il l'a envoyé à tous les États membres. Sinon, nous ouvrons la voie à toutes les dérives. Qu'est-ce qui peut rester? À la fin, on va recevoir des draft decisions qui vont aller aux États membres, qui vont les étudier, qui vont donner des avis. Et ils vont se retrouver au comité 2 jours après par des draft decisions différents, manipulés par le secrétariat. Et je dis bien manipulés. Je suis désolé. J'insiste sur ce terme. Et ça ne concerne pas Hebron. C'est un problème général. C'est un problème d'ordre général qui remet en cause tout le fonctionnement du comité. Merci.
Merci, Peru, Excellency, and it is not a secret that I would like to close.
Solo para reiterar, señor presidente, que a nuestro juicio hay un problema de procedimiento, que la Secretaría ha tomado iniciativa que no corresponde y esto es lo que tenemos que rectificar. Gracias.
Thank you. Let me please close and say that I understand that there are 2 points. The first, yes, we shall follow the procedures, and as I can see, it is a general wish to come back to the previous version, and I understand that I shall simply declare that we are operating when the item is opened on the version of July the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, which was the first, the 30th of June, I'm sorry, which I understand is the basis. So, is that of a general agreement? So, sorry for this let's say, mistake concerning the procedure, and it is clear that there is a general wish that we are, before the opening of the item, do have the previous version of the draft decision point. Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. Usted ha hecho una lectura correcta de esta sala, lo cual lo dignifica. Y además pone de manifiesto las lagunas importantes que tienen los procedimientos de este comité. Y que creo que en el marco de la revisión de la gobernanza que hay en la UNESCO y de todos los comités deberá ser un punto a tener en cuenta, no solamente en este tema, sino en otros aspectos del reglamento. Es ambiguo, como el de la votación de 2/3, que no dice en qué puntos realmente se ejecuta el procedimiento. Y mejorar y actualizar esto nos va a hacer muy fácil la vida, a nosotros, a la Secretaría y a la asesora jurídica, que me alegro mucho de verlas hoy en esta sala acompañándolas. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Poland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we've been discussed just the rules of procedures, of course, and some kind of order of our discussion. So I see at the beginning that there is a kind of discrepancy in the committee. So we, in fact, could decide what kind of text would be discussed. So then I would like to ask Secretariat to deliver original text to this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I allowed to continue? Lebanon, the floor is yours.
Oui, excusez-moi, Monsieur le Président. Je souhaiterais, avant de clore ce point, qui est le point 8B, et avant d'ouvrir le point 8B1, je souhaiterais qu'on prenne une décision de principe au comité, que dorénavant, dans aucun site et dans aucun projet de déclaration, le secrétariat ne peut modifier ce projet de déclaration en dernière minute. Une fois qu'il est envoyé aux États parties, s'il faut le modifier, c'est avec un papier bleu, comme tout le monde. Voilà. C'est un principe. C'est pour éviter que des choses comme ça se passent ailleurs et dans d'autres cas.
If so, let me just say that it is the added value of our 41st session. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to consider the nominations of properties to the World Heritage List. I would like to recall that the relevant working documents concerning nominations are 8B, 8B.ed, and AB.ed.2. The advisory bodies' evaluations can be found in the information documents. ICOMOS, INF.8B1, INF.8B1.ed, and INF.8B1.ed.2, and IUCN, INF.8B2 and INF.8B2.ed. Let me recall that document INF.8B3 presents the list of all the nominations received by February the 1st, 2017, with the indication of those which were deemed complete. These nominations will not be discussed during our debates here, as they are foreseen to be examined at our next committee session in 2018. Document INF.8B4 present factual errors identified by state parties in the advisory body evaluations, and it was distributed to you on Monday, the first day of the committee session. I now invite the Secretariat to present this document and read out the list of nominations for which factual errors notifications have been received, and to add some explication. Mr. Balsamo, you have the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In accordance with paragraph 150 and Annex 12 of the operational guidelines, the notification of factual errors as submitted by the concerned state parties and reviewed by the relevant advisory body are presented in the language in which they are being submitted. It is important to recall that Annex 12 of the operational guidelines is the official format of submission of factual errors identified in the advisory body's evaluation, and only notification received by the statutory deadline and submitted in the appropriate form have been made available and included in document INF 8B4. The comments made by the advisory bodies are in the right column and indicate whether the information submitted is a factual error or not. This year, we received 24 factual errors notification concerning the following nomination to be examined at this very session. First, the nomination submitted by Albania, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Italy, Romania, Slovenia, Spain, and Ukraine on the primeval beech forest of the Carpathian and other regions of Europe. Benin, Burkina Faso, W. Harley Penjari Complex. Ghana, Mole National Park. Mongolia, Russian Federation Landscape of Doria. Mexico, Tehuacan Cahuetlan Valley, originary habitat of Mesoamerica. Angola, Historic Center of Mbanza, Congo. Azerbaijan, Historic Center of Sheki with a Camp Palace. China, Kulangsu, a historic international settlement. Denmark, Kujata, a subarctic farming landscape in Greenland. Eritrea, Asmara, Africa's modern city. Georgia, Gelati Monastery. Germany, caves with the oldest age art. Germany, the Bauhaus and its sites in Weimar, the Southern Bernau. Germany, Nürnberg Cathedral and the high medieval cultural landscape of the river Saale and Strut. India, historic city of Ahmedabad. Islamic Republic of Iran, historic city of Yazd. Japan, sacred island of Okinoshima and associated sites in Mukanata region. Jordan, assault eclectic architecture, 1865-1925, origins and evolution of an architectural language in the Levant. Poland, Tarnowskie Góry lead silver zinc mine and its underground water management system. South Africa, Khomani cultural landscape. Turkey, aphrodisiacs. United Arab Emirates, or Dubai and traditional American arbors. And United Kingdom of Great Britain and North Ireland, the English Lake District, as well as concerning the minor boundary modification submitted by the Netherlands, the defense line of Amsterdam. Before the presentation of the concerned nominations by the advisory bodies, the Secretariat will announce the related factual error notification received. And if the notification of factual errors has an impact on the proposed statement of OUV, the amendment is already included on the text that will be eventually shown on the screen. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Balsamo. Are there any objections? I see none. Which means that our next point deals with withdrawals of nominations to be examined by this session of the committee. I invite Mr. Balsamo again to read out the list of the nominations withdrawn at the request of the concerned state parties. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A total of 6 nominations were withdrawn. 4 of these were withdrawn prior to the publication of document 8B, while 2 nominations were withdrawn just prior to this committee session and after the publication of document 8B. The 6 withdrawn nominations are Bahrain, Dilmont Burial Mounds, Germany, Luther sites in central Germany, Ghana, Mole National Park, Italy, Sila National Park, Republic of Korea, Anya Dongdesong, the Seoul City Wall, and Republic of Moldova, Horehyul Veki Archaeological Landscape. Following these withdrawals, the committee will have to examine 33 nominations. Among them, 6 are for natural sites, 1 for mixed sites, and 26 for cultural sites. Let me take this opportunity also to remind that the complete PDF version of all these nominations have been made progressively available during the year for consultation on a secure page of our website. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any comments concerning this very issue? I see none. So, thank you, Mr. Balsamo. And as we begin with the examination of nominations, I would like to take this opportunity to recall 2 essential procedures concerning nominations to be examined. Firstly, as you may recall, the committee is requested to examine the recommendations and draft decisions presented in the relevant documents and, in accordance with paragraph 153 of the operational guidelines, take its decisions in the following 4 categories. First, the committee may decide to inscribe a property on the World Heritage List. It is paragraph 154 of the operational guidelines. Second, the committee may decide that the property should not be inscribed on the World Heritage List, paragraph 158 of the operational guidelines. The committee may decide to refer back a nomination to the state party for additional information, which is paragraph 159 of the operational guidelines. And the fourth, the committee may decide to defer a nomination for more in-depth assessment or study, or a substantial revision by the state party, which is paragraph 160 of the operational guidelines. In particular, nominations which the committee decides to refer back to the state party for additional information may be resubmitted to the following committee session for examination. For a referred nomination, there is no new nomination file to be prepared, and there is no evaluation mission of the relevant advisory body foreseen to the property. If the committee decides to defer a nomination, it means that an in-depth assessment or study or a substantial revision of the nomination file by the state party is needed. Therefore, a new nomination should be submitted, and the site will have the opportunity of being re-evaluated by the relevant advisory body during the full year and a half evaluation cycle according to the procedures and timetable outlined in paragraph 168 of the operational guidelines. Secondly, on the specific issue of submission of additional information on nominations, I would like to recall paragraph 148.h, as well as the nomination timetable of paragraph 168 of the operational guidelines, which establishes that the evaluations and presentations of the advisory bodies should not take into account or include any information submitted by the state party after 28th of February in the year in which the nomination is considered. We can now proceed with the examination of nominations. This year we will begin with a nomination that was proposed to be proceed on an emergency basis, and then we will proceed with natural nominations, followed by mixed and then culture nominations. The order of the examination of nominations is listed on page 4 of both the English and French version of document 8B, and I would like kindly ask you to follow this order to the extent possible. It is also important for technical reasons. PowerPoint. For ease of reference, the page numbers of the advisory body evaluations documents are also shown in the PowerPoint presentations. I'm going to call on ICOMOS and IUCN to be concise in the presentations, as you will be allocated 5 to maximum 10 minutes to present each nomination depending on its category. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you in advance for your cooperation. We have 3 beautiful but difficult days ahead. And we will now start with the first nomination. It is nomination on emergency basis. Palestine, Hebron, draft decision 41,8B.1. And now I invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of Hebron al-Khalil, Old Town, Palestine. The draft decision concerning this nomination can be found in document 8B.8.2. ICOMOS, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As announced, this is the presentation of Hebron al-Khalil, Old Town, Palestine. The nomination was submitted to the World Heritage Center on 30 January 2017 to be evaluated under normal evaluation procedures. It was transmitted to ICOMOS on 16 March 2017. On 9 March 2017, the State Party wrote to the World Heritage Center to request that the evaluation be changed from normal to emergency procedures, as set out in paragraphs 161 and 162 of the operational guidelines. On 22 March 2017, ICOMOS wrote to the State Party to request supplementary information on the specific conditions that had led to the request to change the evaluation procedures. The State Party replied on 22 April 2017. ICOMOS attempted to undertake a field visit to the property. It persisted in trying to arrange the necessary travel until early June, when it became apparent that the visit was regrettably unfeasible. The use of high-quality local limestones characterized the rebuilding of Hebron al-Khalil Old Town during the Mamluk period. The focal point of the town was Ibrahimi Mosque, the tomb of Patriarchs, whose buildings lie within monolithic walls built in the 1st century BC to protect the tombs of the Patriarch Abraham, Ibrahim, and his family. This came to be revered as a pilgrim site for 3 monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, part of a triangle of holy sites with Jerusalem and Bethlehem. Hebron town dates back at least to the 1st century AD and probably much earlier. Nearby, on Tel Rumeida, are extensive remains of urban settlements, some more than 3,000 years old, that have provided evidence for a 4th century AD Christian pilgrim center. The surrounding hills formed a sort of natural fortress for the Mamluk town and separated its well-watered fertile valleys from the desert beyond. The town was sited at the crossroads of trade routes for caravans traveling between southern Palestine, Sinai, eastern Jordan, and the north of the Arabian Peninsula. Although the subsequent Ottoman period heralded an extension of the town to the surrounding areas and brought numerous architectural additions, particularly the raising of the roof level of houses to provide more upper stories, the overall Mamluk morphology of the town is seen to have persisted with its hierarchy of areas, quarters based on ethnic, religious, or professional groupings, and houses with group of rooms organized according to a tree-shaped system. What survives today reflects the impact of military actions in 1834, 2 earthquakes in 1837 and 1827, the demolition of quarters around the Al-Ibrahimi Mosque, the Tomb of Patriarchs, in 1965 to enlarge the piazza, and since 1977, the impact of settlers. There are 2 Israeli settlements in the property. Further destruction of buildings and the development of new urban areas in the periphery of the town. In terms of categories of cultural property set out in Article 1 of the 1972 World Heritage Convention, this is a site. The nominated zone encompasses the continuous urban fabric which goes back to the Mamluk and early Ottoman periods. The buffer zone encompasses the foothills around the nominated zone, including one of the 3 areas of the Mamluk period. This is a general view of part of the nominated property with the Al-Ibrahimi Mosque, the Tomb of Patriarchs, in the center, surrounded by traditional urban fabric. A hierarchy of streets connected the 3 main areas of the town, with some of the main streets being covered with vaultings through which openings provided light and ventilation. The system of main arteries and auxiliary roads determines a network of public and semi-public spaces that define the limits of the residential quarters. There are different types of houses constructed in local yellow limestone, among them the fortification houses, which create a defense mechanism using houses tightly packed together along the outer perimeter of the town, forming a continuous facade with opening kept to a minimum. The residential buildings of the late Ottoman period are built in a symmetrical, compact manner and contain several floors. The eclectic, decorative facades are the result of European influence. The Al-Ibrahimi Mosque, the Tomb of Patriarchs, is the most important monument of the town. Elements of the current buildings date back to long before the Mamluk period. This enclosure of massive, finely traced stone blocks still frames the mosque, and within it are structures that reflect later periods. The Great Covered Prayer Hall was constructed in the 12th century out of the remains of the Crusaders' 11th century Romanesque church, which in turn arose from the ruins of a 7th century mosque. Since 1994, the complex has been divided into two separate parts with restricted access. The State Party has set out the following emergency threats as a reason for requesting an emergency inscription. 10 UNESCO Executive Board decisions have not been fulfilled. Protest letters addressed to the Director General about continuous violation in Hebron al-Khalil have not had any effect. Alarming details of violation, including vandalism, property damage, and other attacks that impact on the authenticity and integrity of the property, the continuity and accumulation of these violations impact on the integrity, authenticity, and distinctive character of the property. Some violations have irreversible negative impact on the integrity, authenticity, and distinctive character of the property. What is clear is that the threats and violations are systematic and long-standing. They have a significant impact on the lives of ordinary citizens, resulting in the gradual depopulation of the old town, although this is to a degree now being reversed, and also interfere with the conservation of cultural heritage assets. Over time, this can be seen to threaten the resilience and sustainability of urban life and the conservation of the property. In view of the lack of a field visit, ICOMOS has not been able to fully evaluate whether the property unquestionably justifies some criteria, conditions of authenticity and integrity, and management requirements, nor whether recent incidents have drastically increased the level of threats to a degree that the situation may be considered an emergency for which an immediate action by the World Heritage Committee is needed. Under these circumstances, ICOMOS recommends that a field visit to Hebron al-Khalil, Old Town, Palestine, be carried out as soon as possible to assess these issues. ICOMOS will be ready and willing to offer advice and support in developing what is considered to be the strong potential for outstanding universal value to be demonstrated for an enlarged property that includes Tel Rumeida, the three areas of the Old Town, and other sites with the religious associations. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Thomas, for your presentation. Dear colleagues, a draft decision 41-8b.1 of June the 30th. It is document 8b.8.2. has been proposed, as we know already, by the Secretariat, and an amendment has been received by Kuwait, Lebanon, and Tunisia, and as well has been distributed to you. I would like to know if there are any comments on this proposal. Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would like first to thank ICOMOS for their effort to prepare an evaluation for the property in such a short period of time. And despite the fact that it was not possible for ICOMOS to undertake a field mission to Hebron al-Khalil, since the necessary permission was not granted by the Israeli authorities, which we regret deeply. As stated in ICOMOS evaluation report, it is clear that, in view of the lack of field visit, ICOMOS has not been able to fully evaluate whether the property unquestionably justifies some OUV criteria, as well as conditions of integrity and authenticity. However, ICOMOS report suggests that the nominated property has strong potential for OUV to be demonstrated. ICOMOS report also suggests that a stronger potential for OUV, for outstanding universal value, may be developed for an enlarged property that would include sites currently proposed in the buffer zone. I would like to take some minutes to discuss this suggestion as an architect and architecture historian. First, Due to the fact that the sites suggested by ICOMOS are separated from the old city limits, located outside the rampart houses and scattered all around the nominated property, any enlarged nomination should be a serial type nomination. Operational guidelines state that any component part of a serial nomination should contribute to the overall OUV of the whole series, and that each component of the series should justify each of the criteria proposed for inscription. This will be very difficult to justify for a revised enlarged nomination as suggested by ICOMOS. As for Sheikh Ali Bakka neighborhood, for example, it is located outside the city core, in the middle of a modern urban development, which affected considerably its integrity and authenticity. Adding such a component to the series would weaken considerably its OUV. As for Tel Rumaida archaeological site, this site stands on the other side of the valley, south of the historic city core, and was destroyed several times during history and totally abandoned since the early Christian period. How could such an archaeological component relate to the historic city core, which developed since the 9th century around the Haram Ibrahimi Mosque of the Patriarchs, tombs of the Patriarchs, and housed a multicultural community that came from a myriad of different faces, ethnicity, and backgrounds: Jews, Christians, Muslims, Arabs, Kurds, Cherkess, etc., and which is still a living city today? How could such a component relate to a unique urban structure that has preserved the morphology and residential typologies dating back to the Mamluk era in a manner that cannot be found in any of the historic cities in the same geocultural region? As an element of an enlarged series, Tel Rumaida archaeological site would not justify either Criterion 2, an outstanding example of a multicultural community that came to share the same traditions and values, or Criterion 4, an outstanding example of an urban structure that has preserved remarkably the historic fabric dating back to the 12th century. As for Criterion 6, the World Heritage List, as well as tentative lists, comprise a large number of properties associated with religions, beliefs, and spirituality. But what is unique in Hebron al-Khalil is not only that it is one of the holiest sites for the three monotheistic religions, but more particularly that its spiritual significance is the same for the three religions, embodied in the Haram Ibrahimi tombs of the Patriarchs structure around which the whole city developed as a holy city. While in Jerusalem, for example, Jews, Christians, and Muslims value different religious heritage, each community being the guardian of its own shrines and holy places. Al-Haram Ibrahimi tombs of Patriarchs is a common sacred site for all the believers, a place where Jews, Christians, and Muslims can pray together. This unique situation carries a universal message that would be weakened if we would follow ICOMOS' suggestion to include components outside the nominated property that have separate spiritual significance for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. True, there are such components scattered around Hebron city core, like, for example, Tel Rumaida archaeological site, the Russian monastery of the Saint Trinity, or the Mosque of Nabi Yunus and the Sheikh Abdul Qadir Maqam. But all these components have minor spiritual significance as compared to Haram Ibrahimi tombs of the Patriarch, and none of them carries a common spiritual message for the three religions. As a matter of, let us keep the message as strong as it is now, recognizes the uniqueness of Hebron al-Khalil as compared to other properties of religious significance, a city organized around a single holy site where the believers of the three monotheistic religions can share the same place of worship. We should also remember that it is a combination of the three criteria that gives to the nominated property its outstanding universal value. Finally, ICOMOS report recognizes that the property is subject to direct threats and systematic violations that affect the resilience and sustainability of urban life and the conservation of the property. Everybody who went to Hebron knows that the situation there is similar to apartheid. However, in view of the lack of field visit, ICOMOS refrains from proposing any recommendation to the committee for the first time in the history of the convention. Mr. President, although the necessary permissions for such a visit were not granted, the committee cannot postpone its decision. Given that 10 UNESCO Executive Board decisions regarding the site were not fulfilled, given that continuous violations impact on the integrity and authenticity of the property, given also that such violations, if continued, may have irreversible impact on the outstanding universal value of the property, given all this, the committee should take its responsibilities according to Article 11 of the Convention. Inscribe Hebron al-Khalil Old City on the World Heritage List in danger and publicize it immediately. The ambitious project launched by Hebron Rehabilitation Committee since the early 90s is still being pursued in spite of all difficulties. This project was awarded the Aga Khan Award in 1998 and the UN World Habitat Award in 2013. May the inscription of Hebron al-Khalil on the World Heritage List be an incentive to transform a place of confrontation and violence into a space for 21st century understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Tunisia and Poland after that. Tunisia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je ne veux pas être aussi disert que mon distingué collègue du Liban, mais permettez-moi, Monsieur le Président, d'évoquer juste un point, mais un point de taille, celui de signaler que pour la première fois que je sache, depuis la création du Centre du patrimoine mondial, qu'on nous présente un projet de résolution qui ne soit pas assorti d'un paragraphe opérationnel, un projet de décision. C'est, le moins qu'on puisse dire, une première étonnante dans l'histoire du Centre du patrimoine mondial. Et elle résulte clairement du refus répété d'Israël d'autoriser l'expert de l'ICOMOS à accéder au site candidat de l'inscription. Je nomme Hebron al-Khalil. En effet, la délégation tunisienne a pu relever qu'au moins à 5 reprises, la Palestine s'est préparée à accueillir l'expert de l'ICOMOS, mais ce fut en pure perte. En conséquence, permettez-moi, Monsieur le Président, de m'adresser aux honorables membres du Comité du patrimoine mondial pour leur demander de ne pas faire porter à la Palestine les conséquences de ces entraves, mais au contraire d'y voir un signe supplémentaire de l'urgence d'inscrire la vieille ville d'Hébron.
Merci. Now, Poland. Poland, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we have to discuss this issue as amended, I feel the great sensitiveness in this place. So discussion would be very awkward for many. That's why we'd like to propose just to go directly to the secret voting on this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Poland. Now, Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. La delegación de Polonia vuelve a equivocarse. Para pasar una votación secreta, primero tendríamos que cerrar el debate. Entonces, a eso no hemos llegado todavía. Esta delegación hará uso de su palabra porque no hemos cerrado el debate, se ha pedido una votación secreta, pero primero, antes de eso, hay que pedir cerrar el debate y estamos todavía en el debate. Entonces, yo le pasaré la palabra a nuestro jefe de delegación para que se pronuncie al respecto. Gracias.
Thank you, Cuba. Poland. Wishes to continue.
Gracias, señor presidente. En realidad habíamos pedido la palabra como parte de la discusión y no dando respuesta a la solicitud de la delegación de Polonia. Nosotros consideramos que estamos evaluando dos puntos claves para en primer lugar, fundamentar el proceso de análisis de emergencia del sitio y, en segundo lugar, su valor excepcional. Creo que con relación a la fundamentación vinculada con el análisis de emergencia están claros los elementos dados. Delegaciones anteriores han hablado precisamente de esas decisiones del Consejo Ejecutivo que no se han podido cumplir. Han ratificado y está recogido además en la documentación circulada con relación a la negativa a la posibilidad de hacer la visita al sitio, la presencia de vandalismo en el sitio. Es decir, que hay una serie de elementos que han sido claves en las decisiones anteriores que precisamente este comité ha tenido en cuenta para el uso de este mecanismo de emergencia. En segundo lugar, con relación a los valores universales del sitio, creo que realmente el sitio de Hebron está en el corazón de todos desde hace mucho tiempo como parte de esa lista del patrimonio mundial y que lo que estamos en presencia de una fundamentación de un sitio que realmente no habíamos tenido la posibilidad de incluir precisamente por las limitaciones y la situación que tiene este territorio. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Poland again. Let me just remind you that for the secret ballot, according to the rules of procedure, as far as I know, there are at least 2 state parties needed. Poland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry for taking the floor once again, but just ad vocem, I would like to reply that that's why we've asked for secret vote to avoid this very sensitive subject like is inter-religion, maybe dialogue. So we would like to avoid this very delicate subject. Thank you.
Especially delicate for the host country, as I understand, Turkey and Tunisia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As has been explained in detail by Lebanon, we believe that Al-Halil Old Town has all the unique features that merit to be inscribed on the World Heritage List in danger on an emergency basis. We therefore support the decision to inscribe the Al-Halil Old Town, a city of immense historical and religious importance, to the World Heritage List in danger. Thank you.
Thank you. Tunisia, the floor is yours. Tunisia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La délégation tunisienne proposerait un vote à main levée.
I see. Shall I ask the legal advisor what shall we do now? And Kuwait.
Merci bien, Monsieur le Président. Le Koweït soutient la demande avec la délégation de Tunisie. Il sera le vote par le main levée. Merci.
Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. Cuba también apoya la propuesta de una votación, como lo ha hecho las 2 delegaciones que me han precedido. Muchas gracias.
Sorry.
Croatia and Jamaica.
Mr. Chair, Jamaica would like to support the proposal for a secret ballot vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Croatia.
Croatia would like to support secret ballot. I think it's undeniable right according to the rules of procedure here in the committee, and it's undeniable right according to the principles of democracy. Thank you very much. I would like to proceed to the secret ballot as soon as possible.
Thank you, which means that I am forced by circumstances to declare voting, but the question is in which form this voting should take place. No doubt that it should take place immediately. I should close the debate. I'm asking now the legal advisor, how shall we decide about the form, which form prevails, if any? Legal advisor, the floor is yours. Sorry, Poland wishes to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, sorry for taking the floor so often, but it's visible that when we have three committee members in favor of secret vote, so I think it's decided that we have to have secret vote.
Point of order.
Lebanon, point of order.
Yes. Excuse me, Mr. President. If you want to see what is the majority, you either ask the different committee members to give their opinion, or you vote on if it is secret or not secret. I mean, it's not you have 3 with secret and 2 against secret. Okay, Lebanon didn't give its opinion yet. So we are with open vote. Okay, we are not for secret. What happens? I mean, either you ask everybody, or you vote on it, or you find a way through the legal advisor. I don't know.
There is no need to find a way.
I'm not going to ask everybody. I'm going to proceed according to the rules. It is why I have already asked the legal advisor, but Cuba wishes to take the floor.
Sí, gracias, señor presidente. Es cierto que hubo una solicitud de votación secreta en el momento incorrecto porque estaba el debate. En ningún momento se pidió cerrar ese debate. Inmediatamente después, una delegación pidió votación nominal y fue secundada inmediatamente por 2 delegaciones que pidieron votación nominal. No así pasó con la primera propuesta, que se pidió la votación secreta, pero ni se había cerrado el debate, ni hubo apoyo inmediato. Y conforme, como dice el reglamento, se pide la votación y inmediatamente fue secundada por 2 Estados miembros. Y es muy irrespetuoso lo que está pasando en este mismo momento, allá arriba en ese podio. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you, Cuba. Is our legal advisor ready to take the floor? Madam.
If I understand the way the discussions have proceeded, the room has agreed to a closure of debate. That would be the first point. The second...
No doubt, the debate is closed. I'm forced to do so. No, I understand that it is just confirmed by the legal advisor. It is important also for me. Thank you.
The second point is that 3 states have requested a vote by secret ballot, and 3 states have requested a vote by show of hands. The provisions, sorry, I need to put my glasses back on. The provisions in the rules of procedure are clear. 41 says that voting shall normally be by a show of hands. Rule 41 provides that a decision shall be voted on by secret ballot when 2 or more state members so request. In the context where more than 2 or more have requested a vote by secret ballot, the vote will need to be by secret ballot.
Thank you. If so, I understand that I shall announce the secret ballot, which means that in this regard I would like to request the Secretariat to present the rule and majority required for the motion to be adopted. I wonder if our legal advisor could take the floor. Excellency, Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to ask the legal advisor through you, Chair, to advise us what happens to those who have asked for open vote. Do the rules say ignore those who have asked for an open vote? Because you now say that the rules say only listen to those who ask for secret ballot. Please advise us.
Thank you, Excellency. The legal advisor has the floor.
Thank you. The rules are very clear. Rule 41, entitled Secret Ballot, provides that a decision shall be voted on by secret ballot whenever 2 or more members so request. That is therefore the applicable rule.
So, are we prepared for a secret ballot? I'm giving the floor to Dr. Resler. Could you confirm that, please?
There's a point of order.
Please, on what are we voting?
Yes, it is the next step, no doubt. Is Cuba ready to take the... No. So, Dr. Resler, could you kindly explain what are we now going to vote? I understand that we've got the draft decision of June the 30th, I would like to emphasize, amended. Shall we go to the rapporteur now?
There will be a question which needs to be put up on what we are voting, and the Secretariat is prepared to put the voting box here, and you, as chairperson, you need to appoint 2 tellers. So this is the procedure, but the legal advisor can confirm this. Thank you.
As has been requested by the floor, I think the first point is to make it clear to the room that which is being voted upon.
Excuse me, Madam, could you kindly repeat what you just said?
Apologies. The first step needs to be for the room to know that which they are voting upon.
Which means that Muhammad Juma could help us enormously. The floor is yours, the rapporteur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish I could help you. Now we have a...
It would be not a miracle. I rely on you.
Thank you.
It is not a secret.
Yeah, we have a good team here. This is a
Thank you.
Yeah. We have a draft proposal from distinguished guests, distinguished delegation of Lebanon, Kuwait, and Tunisia. As you can see, Mr. Chairman, the original draft decision had 4 paragraphs. The distinguished delegates, which I mentioned before, they proposed to add first part in paragraph 4, which I can read, acknowledging that in its evaluation report...
Sorry, we need to see it at our screens as well here. Can I ask technicians to put the text at the screens available for the chair? Can I kindly ask the technicians to put the document at the screen at front of the chair? Thank you.
Now we have the paragraph 4. There is an addition at the beginning of the paragraph. I read only addition. Acknowledging that in its evaluation report of the nomination, ICOMOS states that the necessary permission were not forthcoming from traveling and access to the Hebron H2 zone, which is under Israel military control and within which lies the nomination property, and that in view the rest of paragraphs as it was before in the proposed document. Now there's new paragraph 5, which reads, regrets that Israel, the occupying power, did not give the necessary permission for ICOMOS to undertake a field visit to the site in order to evaluate the outstanding universal value, the condition of integrity, the authenticity and management requirements for the property. Paragraph 6, consider that the nomination property unquestionably justify criteria 2, 4, and 6, as well as condition for integrity and authenticity. Paragraph 7 also considers that property is faced with serious threats which could have deleterious effects on its inherent characteristics and for which an immediate...
I'm sorry, gentlemen, could you kindly shake those hands not at this very moment and at this very place, please. I'm sorry. Mr. Joma, please to continue.
We are in paragraph 7. Also consider that the property is faced with serious threats which could have deleterious effect on its inherent characteristics, for which an immediate action by the World Heritage Committee is needed. Paragraph number 8, inscribe Hebron Al-Halil Old Town on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 2, 4, and 6. And the last paragraph 9 also inscribes Hebron Al-Halil Old Town on the World Heritage List in danger. This is what has been proposed, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I see no reaction, so I understand that we are ready to go with the voting procedure, which means that I shall nominate the tellers. I wonder if I could kindly ask the three respected state parties. Yes, but I can see three proposals at front of me: Philippines, Angola, and the Republic of Korea. Can I ask, starting with Philippines, if you could kindly agree, Excellency, to be one of the tellers? May I ask you kindly to prove or to confirm if Philippines are ready to support us?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. We will.
Thank you very much in advance. Thank you. Can I kindly ask Angola if you could kindly support us with this very important function? Angola.
Oui, Monsieur le Président. Oui.
Merci beaucoup. Which means that I'm not going to approach the Republic of Korea in this very paragraph. We will see, presumably, I will ask you kindly later on when we come back to the same procedure. Thank you anyway. Good, so we have two tellers, Philippines and Angola, ready, and I understand that it is the end of my mission at the moment. Is Secretariat ready to start the procedure? Dr. Esler, please to confirm that, and I would be grateful for your essential help to go further on. Of course, being fully aware what are we voting and how are we voting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. There will be the question put up. Maybe we can put the question on the screen, and it would be put up. My colleagues here will distribute the voting papers to the members of the World Heritage Committee. They have put up the voting box. And could I kindly request that nobody else comes up here to the podium to be very clear that we are in a voting procedure here. Thank you very much to all of you. I say it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that it is a secret ballot. It is a secret ballot. It is what I can just remind you all at the moment.
You want to steal the vote. You want to steal the
Excellencies.
vote. You want to steal the vote. Terror in the West Bank, not here.
Excellencies, I would like kindly ask
Prenez vos
you.
responsabilités et videz la scène.
I
Ce
would
n'est plus
like
They
possible.
won't be able to.
C'est des
You
marches
won't
de
steal the
voyous.
vote. They won't steal the vote.
Des histoires de voyous.
I would like kindly ask you, Excellencies, to help us with the procedure.
No. Nobody enters. Nobody
No
enters.
delegation and, should be present during the procedure. I would like kindly ask everybody to follow the standards and the procedure. It is a secret ballot. Excellency, could you kindly help me, please? The floor goes to Dr. Resler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And if we could kindly ask all delegates and committee members and other state party delegates not to enter the podium area. Your understanding is very much appreciated because we need to work properly here. Mr. Chair, with your permission, I think we all decided on a secret vote here. Rule 37 applies, which is, and I read it out to you, decisions of the Committee on matters covered by the provisions of the Convention shall be taken by a majority of 2/3 of its members present and voting. And I think you all agree that inscription on the World Heritage List is a provision under the Convention. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
As I understand you, Dr. Resler, it is a matter of required majority. So, are we ready to vote? I'm asking again, are we ready to vote? Excellency, please.
Monsieur le Président, il y va de l'honneur de notre comité. S'il vous plaît, demandez à tous les membres du comité et aux observateurs de quitter le podium. S'il vous plaît, il y va de l'honneur de notre comité. Monsieur le Président, s'il vous plaît.
Excellency, do help us to continue. It is a secret ballot.
It's not a secret ballot. We talked with you.
Excellency, do help us.
Monsieur le Président, demandez de sécurité d'intervenir. Demandez au service de sécurité d'intervenir.
But it is not a moment to do so. Excellency, do help us, please. I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, please do help me and do help us all to continue the 41st session of the World Heritage Committee in a certain standard, also the standard of the convention. Please, I can only beg you. Secretariat, are we ready?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The envelopes and the voting papers have been distributed. The Secretariat is ready whenever you want to proceed. Thank you.
Once again, I'm asking Secretariat, are we ready to start? I would like to start, please. You should keep us too long. Are we ready to start? Yes?
Should I reply? Yes, Mr. Chair, the envelopes have been distributed, the
Go
question
ahead.
as well. And as if you wish, we can proceed with the vote. The Secretariat will read the list.
Yes, the floor is yours.
So, first goes Angola.
If you could kindly.
Azerbaijan. Burkina Faso. Croatia. Cuba. Finland. Indonesia. Jamaica. Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Peru, Philippines, Poland, Portugal, Republic of Korea, Tunisia, Turkey, United Republic of Tanzania, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, Mr. Chairperson, all members of the committee have now voted.
Thank you, which means that at the moment I seek your patience. I would like to ask you for your patience. We are at the voting procedure, and I do hope that the tellers, the respected tellers, are efficient enough to bring in a couple of minutes of time the final result. of this liquid ballot at the table. I seek your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may inform you about the results. Number of abstentions, 6. Number of valid votes, namely members present and voting, 15. Majority required, 10. Votes for yes, 12. Votes. May I? Let me please finish. Votes for no, 3, abstention, 6. Let me please express our common gratitude to the tellers, Vladimir Russo from Angola and Madame Donna Celeste Feliciano Gatmayatan from Philippines. Thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, it means that decision 41.8b.1 is adopted as amended. Are there any interventions? I see none. Israel wishes to take the floor. Kuwait first. I'm sorry. The members of the committee have the priority. Excellency, I recognize you. Yes. Kuwait first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This triumph is not for religion over another. This is a triumph is for the humankind history, peace, tolerance, unity against the violation, oppression, aggression, and the terror of war, as well as weapon. We are sending a vital message to the world that yes, we can coexist and meet in one place, Jews, Christians, Muslims. Thanks for those who joins us to deliver this noble message. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any interventions from the committee members' side? None. Is the state party concerned? Does the state party concerned wishes to take the floor? You can see no. It means that the floor goes to the Ambassador of Israel. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. First, let me to welcome the mayor of Hebron, Taysir Abu Snena. Taysir Abu Snena, who killed 6 Israelis in 1980 terror attack and was elected to the head of Hebron's municipal council. So it's a great honor for this organization to have him today with us. Yet, as a Jew, as a human being, I cannot ignore what transpired here only 3 days ago, in what shall forever remembered as one of UNESCO's most dishonorable moments. A few days ago, we stood in silence commemorating the Holocaust. Immediately following that somber moment, the representative of Cuba chose to initiate a moment of silence in memory of Palestinian victims, one for which I came under attack by the Palestinian representative for refusing to stand. Let it be clear, I do not regret my decision. No one here has any right to preach me for refusing to take a part in a cynical, shameful act of political charade, which has nothing to do with human dignity, and everything to do with a deep contempt for humanity. Firstly, the request for a moment of silence was made maliciously and timed deliberately. Cuba, a state whose glory stands only for being a criminal dictatorship and a violator of human rights, stooped so low as to create a shocking and deplorable parallel between the victims of the Holocaust and the victims of a violent political confrontation. Secondly, let me make it clear, the Holocaust stands alone in its atrocities, stands alone in its cruelty, stands alone in its systematic and industrial human butchery. It is like nothing. It is like nothing else, nor should it never. Just a minute. Sorry. Just a minute. Okay. It is like nothing else, nor should it ever repeat itself. Never again. As a representative of the Jewish nation, I will not give an end to this distortion, this malicious and evil dilution of the Holocaust. Furthermore, it is not secret that the Palestinian Authority, including its leader Mahmoud Abbas, view as heroes these terrorists who cold-bloodedly murder babies in their cribs, sniping at toddlers held in their father's arms. To them, they are shaheeds and victims. Are these the kinds of people you expect me to pay tribute? To Fatah, Hamas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda? I will not honor them in a moment of silence. And to the Cuban representative, I will say only this. You did not stand in silence in memory of the millions murdered in the Holocaust. You turned your back away, claiming that basic gesture to be a political act. How dare you? Who are you to turn your gaze away from 6 million glaring eyes, reminding us to never again betray our humanity and our core of morality? Dear my colleague Elias Zanbar, the representative of the Palestinians, I will be the first to stand and the last to sit in memory of even one child's life lost, in memory of innocents whose lives were taken, Palestinians and Israelis alike. As a Jew, I do not need to count victims by the millions to honor their memory and feel their pain. One is enough. As in our Jewish tradition, one soul, every soul, is a world entire. I am not indulging in political games as they are beneath the dignity of any human being. I appreciate you, Mr. Zambar, and those ambassadors with whom I differ politically, and yet who choose to stand in a moment of silence for the Holocaust. This is human stand which give us hope that in spite of political games, not all is lost. Ambassador of Germany, you, I ask, how could you have allowed this contempt of the memory of the Holocaust? Knowing what you know, what we all know, how could you? I am obligated to ask you, do you, in your shameful act, represented the official stance of the German government? Does Germany really see no difference between the victims of the Holocaust and the Palestinians, murderers and terrorists? Is there no difference between Anna Frank and the Palestinian teenager stabbing innocent Jewish children with knives? How many terrorists were amongst the 6 million without using the number 0? I asked you to clarify your shameful act, and you insist not to do it. In spite of everything, Mr. Chairman, sorry, I had it's an urgent. Mr. Chairman, it's my plumber in my apartment in Paris. There is a huge problem in my toilet, and it's much important than the decision you just adopted. Thank you, so I have to go to make a call.
Can I ask the distinguished ambassador of Palestine to take the floor. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Est-ce que nos chers collègues pourraient me faire la joie de pouvoir les remercier pendant quelques minutes et donc me permettre de parler et de m'adresser à la salle? Merci beaucoup. Monsieur le Président, je commencerai par m'excuser pour l'épisode tout à fait malheureux qui a eu lieu il y a quelques minutes. Mais en tout cas, cet épisode est édifiant. Il vous montre que ce que vous avez vu pendant quelques minutes à la tribune, c'est ce que subissent mes frères en Palestine à longueur de journée. Je voudrais donc commencer par remercier tous les États membres qui ont voté en faveur de l'inscription d'Hébron sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril. Je voudrais également remercier tous les États qui nous ont entourés de leur solidarité et de leur compréhension, qui nous ont bien fait comprendre, même s'ils n'accédaient pas au vote, à quel point cette question était une question qui relevait de la pure justice et de la pure humanité. Je voudrais également remercier nos deux ministères, le ministère du Tourisme et des Antiquités et le ministère des Affaires étrangères, qui ont travaillé à fond pour que cette décision puisse aboutir. Et bien entendu, toute l'équipe qui est autour de moi, qui s'est dépensée sans répit. Je voudrais également, si vous le permettez, adresser un remerciement très particulier, nominal, à mon frère Mounir Anastas, qui a travaillé d'arrache-pied pendant 4 ans pour ce dossier et qui malheureusement, pour des causes de santé, n'est pas parmi nous aujourd'hui, mais qui vient de rentrer à Paris. Mais je sais qu'il est en train et qu'il a suivi tous les déroulements de la séance de Paris. Donc je lui adresse toute ma fraternité et je l'embrasse et je lui souhaite un très bon rétablissement. Je voudrais également dire une chose toute simple. La Palestine n'a pas inscrit une religion sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Les religions, on les inscrit sur aucune liste. Soit on les porte dans son cœur, soit on peut les combattre, et c'est malheureux, mais les religions ne s'inscrivent pas sur des listes. La Palestine, en tant qu'État souverain, même s'il est occupé, a exercé de son plein droit la possibilité d'inscrire sur la liste du patrimoine une ville qui se trouve sur son territoire. Et nous sommes là quasiment dans une sorte d'évidence banale sur le fait que les peuples sont maîtres de ce qui se trouve chez eux et qu'à ce titre, ils disposent du droit de les inscrire et d'en disposer. Je voudrais finir par un message et un rappel. Ma terre est une terre plurielle. Ma terre est la seule terre au monde, la seule terre dans le globe qui soit simultanément sacrée pour les 3 religions. Nous avons une tradition de pluralité vieille de plusieurs siècles qui est faite de force, d'empathie, de solidarité et du sentiment enraciné dans notre personnalité historique, à savoir non pas que nous appartenons à telle ou telle ou telle religion, ou peut-être à aucune d'entre elles, mais que tout ce qui s'est passé sur cette terre sainte, nous en sommes les dépositaires, que nous soyons juifs, que nous soyons chrétiens, que nous soyons musulmans, ou même que nous soyons agnostiques, tout ce qui s'est passé, toutes les révélations qu'ils ont eues pour tirer haut la terre de la Palestine sont les nôtres. Alors à ce titre, n'ayez crainte, la mosquée, et pas seulement la mosquée, mais la mosquée de façon très particulière, restera toujours ouverte sans l'ombre d'une limitation, sans l'ombre d'un problème pour tous les croyants qu'ils viennent exercer leur rituel, élever leurs prières et pratiquer leur foi. Je vous remercie encore une fois du fond du cœur. Nous venons de vivre un moment historique pour mon peuple. Je vous en remercie.
Thank you. help. Thank you, Excellency. Let me please inform you that Lebanon wishes to take the floor as well. There are 3 distinguished state parties asking for the floor: Canada, the United States, and Germany. And I'm going to Kuwait as well. But my suggestion, if I may, of course, just to suggest, is rather to reduce the number. But of course, you are free, as we have also 2 NGOs ready to go. So I understand that Lebanon first. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je suis désolé, il n'était pas dans mon intention d'intervenir une nouvelle fois. Mais certaines paroles que nous avons entendues dans cette salle m'imposent d'intervenir, ne serait-ce que pour préserver l'honneur de ce comité, mais également mon honneur personnel. Monsieur le Président, je suis né et j'ai été élevé dans une famille qui, depuis ma plus petite enfance, m'a inculqué le rejet le plus profond de la barbarie nazie, de toute forme d'antisémitisme et de racisme. Mon père a fondé la première ligue anti-nazie et antifasciste au Liban et en Syrie dès 1936. Pendant l'époque du mandat français, ma famille hébergeait des juifs français qui avaient fui le régime de Vichy. Pour toutes ces activités, mon père a été emprisonné par les autorités vichistes et la revue qu'il publiait a été interdite de publication. Cela ne l'a pas empêché, bien évidemment, de se solidariser avec la tragédie du peuple palestinien chassé de ses terres. Bien au contraire, cette solidarité s'inscrivait dans la continuité de son engagement en faveur des valeurs d'humanisme et d'universalisme. Monsieur le Président, vous comprenez bien que je ne puisse accepter en aucune manière les accusations qui ont été portées contre ceux qui ont proposé et appuyé l'inscription du site de Al-Khalil Hebron sur la liste du patrimoine de l'humanité. Ce site qui devrait être l'occasion de la rencontre entre les hommes de bonne volonté, plutôt que le lieu de pratiques inadmissibles qui contredisent toutes les valeurs de l'UNESCO et que nous avons vues dans cette salle. Merci.
Thank you. I'm with you, no doubt about that. And Kuwait, the floor is yours, Excellence.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Tout d'abord, je vais remercier le Centre du patrimoine mondial et le Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour la traduction en langue arabe. J'aimerais bien parler en langue arabe parce que je suis content. Aujourd'hui, je peux parler en langue arabe. في البداية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم في البداية أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لجميع الدول الذي صوتوا للقرار الخليل. هذه المدينة مدينة تعتبر لجميع الديانات وفخر لجميع الدول لأنها تراث إنساني. لكن لدي شيء معين، لابد أن نخرج الدين والديانات عن هذا العمل، لأن الدولة تتكون من شعب وسلطة وإقليم أي أرض، لا نتكلم عن الدين.
Excellency, I'm very sorry. As I can see, I hope that I'm not mistaken. There is no English translation at the moment. Shall we clarify?
Alors en français. Ok. Il n'est pas traduit. Ah, ok. Alors, je suis désolé, en français. Tout d'abord, j'aimerais bien...
If you could kindly switch back to French.
Non, en français. Qu'est-ce que je peux faire? Merci quand même, pour la moitié de traduction.
It is a mistake of interpreter. He has already apologized. Go ahead in your native tongue, please.
Thank you very much.
We shall all be well acquainted to Arabic.
Okay, thank you very much. في البداية طبعا نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لجميع من صوت مع القرار الفلسطيني والجميع الذين صوتوا سواء كان ضد القرار أو كانت في أمور معتدلة أي عن طريق اللي هو الامتناع. الشيء الذي أريد أن أقوله لكم بأن الخليل تعتبر دولة والدولة تقوم على الأرض والشعب والسلطة. لا نتكلم عن الأديان نحن نتكلم عن التعايش. لا نرضى للأسف في كثير من المراقبين الموجودين اليوم نراهم حتى أعضاء اللجنة لم يتقدموا ويكونون هنا في المنصة، لأن هذا شيء غير مقبول، وكان يجب عليك يا سعادة الرئيس أن تتدخل وتمنع هذا الشيء، لأن نحن في منظمة دولية حكومية. ثاني شيء أتقدم للشعب الكوبي، لأن هذا الشعب العظيم الذي لا أرضى بأن أحد أن يمسه، لأن شعب يقوم على الإنسانية ولا يشترى بالمال. شكرا.
Thank you, Excellency. Now Cuba wishes to get the floor. The floor is yours, Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. En primer lugar, queremos agradecerle por la paciencia que usted ha hecho gala hoy en esta sesión. Aunque, bueno, no nos sorprenden ese tipo de situaciones, le hemos vivido en otro foro, pero sinceramente esta delegación desea agradecerle toda la paciencia y la buena vibra que ha tenido para poder darle una mejor solución a esta situación. Deseamos también felicitar al comité por la decisión que ha tomado, que ha sido una decisión consecuente con el mandato mismo de este comité, que es la protección del patrimonio, y una enmienda que lo que busca también, y como lo dice en su texto, es reconocer que el acceso y el vínculo de las tres religiones monoteístas con este sitio. Yo no me voy a referir a los improperios que dijo el delegado de Israel. El sistema, Cuba es un país libre y soberano con una comunidad judía importante que tiene una activa participación en la vida social y política de nuestro país. Y esta delegación en pleno se levantó porque creemos en la dignidad humana y en el valor de la vida como un principio fundamental, cuando también rendimos un minuto de silencio por las víctimas del Holocausto. Deseo reiterar, señor presidente, nuestro agradecimiento a la manera en que condujo esta sesión y es el tipo de cosas que no debemos de permitir y que no debemos tolerar que sucedan en este tipo de foros que tienen una misión mucho mayor y mucho más elevada. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And now the floor goes to Canada. Canada, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Canada is disappointed by the continued politicization of the work of the World Heritage Committee, as evidenced by the decision taken on the Old City of Jerusalem and its walls earlier this week, and now by the decision to include the old town of Hebron al-Achil on the list of the World Heritage in danger. Canada takes issue with the decision just taken, which fails to take into account the independent advisory body's findings. Findings plainly outlined in the draft decision prepared by the Secretariat. These repeated decisions not only hurt UNESCO, they do not advance prospects for the comprehensive, just, and lasting peace to which we aspire for the sake of all Israelis and Palestinians. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The United States of America, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The decision to inscribe Hebron al-Khalil Old Town on an emergency basis is divisive, confusing, and impossible to justify. This site is not under any real or immediate threat. Indeed, the only urgency here is an urgency to express political anger. Had the committee shown patience, this inscription might have represented, at some time in the future, an example of the World Heritage Convention acting as the international community's best and most important tool for cultural dialogue, mutual understanding, and peace. Instead, the politically motivated decision today to inscribe only further stains UNESCO's reputation and further divides this House. Thank you.
Thank you. the floor goes to the distinguished ambassador of Germany. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be very brief. Everybody who knows German policy and everybody who knows me at UNESCO since 2 years knows that the behavior of the German ambassador to UNESCO in this room 3 days ago cannot be misinterpreted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And now we go to NGO organizations. If there are any wishing to take the... Yes, sir. The floor is yours. If you could kindly introduce yourself, and you have 2 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the Simon Wiesenthal Center and its 400,000 members worldwide, and also concerned Jews and Christians worldwide. We have the greatest respect for the World Heritage Committee's work and has called upon it in the past for the protection of Auschwitz when a discotheque was opened within its protected zone. Unfortunately, to paraphrase the German strategist von Clausewitz, that diplomacy is war by other means. Since the Palestinian entry to UNESCO in November 2011, the World Heritage Committee has become a heritage as war by other means, in fact, a battlefield. From 2012, the Church of the Nativity, 2014, Batir, we know as Beitar, the site of the Bar Kokhba Jewish revolt against the Roman occupation in 132. To the Western Wall and the Temple Mount of Solomon, ID theft is a voracious campaign. At this meeting in Poland, on soil soaked with Jewish blood, to witness the ravages on Jewish affinity to Jerusalem and now the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron could only be matched by the temerity of an amalgam drawn between 6 million Jews shot and gassed not 70 kilometers from here in Auschwitz-Birkenau, and against that, the support of Palestinians for moments of silence. To stand in silence in succession for both is a form of Holocaust revisionism. Calling Israelis, casting Israelis as Nazis violates the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance and the European Parliament's working definition of anti-Semitism and its signatory countries all represented here. Mr. Chairman, no other people or religion has been so maligned in the World Heritage Committee. We would have been the first to protest where the victim here have been Islam or Islamic heritage. The Judeo-Christian heritage is continually under attack in this chamber. Mr. Chairman, save the World Heritage Committee from further abuse, from fast-track demands based on spurious claims to emergency, while other member states wait for years to inscribe their heritage. Mr. Chairman, find the means to leave this politicization to New York. The World Heritage Committee must return to its pristine integrity, the acknowledgement, protection, preservation of heritage in an atmosphere of peaceful dialogue, what we call tikkun olam, to redeem and improve the world's heritage in mutual respect for the narrative of the other. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Australia, I shall apologize. Australia is so far away from Poland, so it is quite difficult to recognize you. But anyway, the highest mount of Australia is Mount Kościuszko, as we used to say, who is buried at Wawel, our national hero. So anyway, sorry. The floor is yours, Australia.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Australia regrets this decisive decision and the damaging way in which it was reached. We are concerned that this was not only harmful to Israeli and Palestinian relations, but obviously damaging to the World Heritage Committee and to UNESCO. We are concerned that the language, a heavily politicized and unbalanced language in these resolutions continue to be seen to alter the status quo at Islamic, Jewish and Christian holy sites and are not consistent with the effort to preserve the outstanding universal values of these sites. Australia has consistently not supported these resolutions that target Israel in multilateral forum, and we do not consider that these bring the parties closer to a negotiated settlement. We are focused on supporting those initiatives which reflect and maintain progress towards a negotiated settlement so that Israel and a future Palestinian state may exist side by side in peace and security. These sorts of decisions do not advance that agenda. It furthermore fails in recognising the advice of our advisory bodies, and we encourage all sides to refrain from further provocative actions and statements that undermine prospects for peace and the interests of our organisation.
Finish. So, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And we have now gentlemen wishing to take the floor as NGO. If you could kindly introduce yourself, sir, you have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. I am Imad Hamdan, the General Director of Hebron Rehabilitation Committee. And I am here today to say that we are very proud of this decision that's been taken from the UNESCO and the World Heritage List Committee, that we think that here we are shouldering the responsibility and the proof that you are there to shoulder your responsibility, protecting and preserving the international cultural heritage. As the only talker about Hebron or from Hebron, I would like to reply for the welcoming of His Excellency the Israeli ambassador here of Hebron Mayor, and saying that I want to remind as well that there are tens of thousands of Palestinians that are being killed by the Israelis, not to mention the 29 killed people that they were killed in what's called Hebron massacre at the Ibrahimi Mosque. I would like to say that Hebron, if it wasn't Hebron to be registered in the World Heritage List, what to be listed? We are talking about a country or we are talking about a city of 6,000 years old that has got Ayyubis, Mamluks, and Ottomans buildings, and it's got the Ibrahimi Mosque that aged 2,000 years old. Here, I would like to say that I am directing Hebron Rehabilitation Committee, which belongs to Hebron Municipality, and at the end, it is a Palestinian side that is working on protecting and preserving the cultural heritage in Hebron Old City, and in particular in the Ibrahimi Mosque. We are preserving and we are renovating the Ibrahimi Mosque since 20 years. And since we believe in that protecting and preserving the cultural heritage is a humanitarian obligation, we are preserving both sides at the Ibrahimi Mosque. We are preserving and we are renovating the Muslim side and the occupied side. And here I would like to say that what do we need from registering Hebron or the old city of Hebron on the World Heritage List? We needed to protect it mainly from what's called occupation attacks and violations toward this monument, this shrine, this 22,000 years old shrine. We are there to protect, we are there to preserve. Meanwhile, we have these difficulties every day from the Israeli side in allowing us to restore it. Here, I would like to say that, again, I would like to thank all those who voted for the favor of listing Hebron on the World Heritage List. I thank you all for allowing me also to be here, and I hope that this decision will participate in protecting and preserving the Ibrahim Mosque and Hebron Old City. Thank you.
Thank you. It is the end of this very item, and now we are going further on. Benin, Burkina Faso, WLE Injera Complex. I now invite IUCN to present the transborder extension of the W National Park of Niger by Benin and Burkina Faso to become WLE Injera Complex, Benin, Burkina Faso and Niger. But before I give the floor to the Secretariat, Mr. Balsamo, you have the floor. And I seek your silence, please, please, please.
Okay, what I suggest is, I'll give you a copy of what the project.
Let's wait a while, if I may suggest, but anyway.
But he just went out and he needs to calm down first.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is not the end of the morning session. We do continue. There is a very special space for celebrations at the third floor.
No, here, just outside. Outside here.
And there is also the special space for celebrations outside this very hall. Mr. Balsamo, anyway, let's try to struggle against the wind, if I may say so. Do continue. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We received a factual error letter for this nomination of the W. Harley Penjari Complex. It's to be found on page 11 of both the English and French version of document in faith before. And this submission has also some effect on the proposed statement of OUV that have been already taken into account in our version, which is on our records. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Balsamo. Now the floor goes to IUCN. IUCN, you have the floor. Madam, the floor is yours. Be brave. Do try to overcome the noise, if it is possible. It is a challenge.
Thank you, Mr. President. L'évaluation du complexe du W. Harley Penjari est à la page 3 des versions anglaises et françaises du rapport d'évaluation technique de l'UICN. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. Le complexe du W. Harley Penjari, ou complexe WAP, se trouve en Afrique de l'Ouest et est une proposition d'extension transnationale au Bénin et au Burkina Faso du parc national du W du Niger, inscrit en 1996 au titre des critères 9 et 10. La superficie totale de l'extension proposée s'élève à presque 1 500 000 hectares, avec une zone tampon de plus de 1 100 000 hectares. Dans les informations complémentaires fournies par les États parties en février 2017, ceux-ci ont proposé de modifier les limites pour inclure dans le bien proposé 4 zones synégétiques qui se trouvaient précédemment dans la zone tampon. Celles-ci assurent un lien fonctionnel entre les éléments du complexe et contiennent des habitats additionnels pour les espèces de faune sauvage. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. Le bien proposé se trouve au cœur du bloc d'aires protégées le plus vaste de la province biogéographique des zones boisées, savanes d'Afrique de l'Ouest, et comprend le continuum le plus vaste et le plus important d'écosystèmes terrestres, semi-aquatiques et aquatiques de la ceinture de savane d'Afrique de l'Ouest. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. Le complexe WAP est la plus grande mosaïque d'aires protégées transfrontalières d'Afrique de l'Ouest et il est intégré dans la réserve de biosphère transfrontalière du W que se partagent le Niger, le Bénin et le Burkina Faso. Le complexe WAP comprend un système dynamique où le flux et le reflux de l'eau, au fil des saisons humides et sèches alternées, crée une riche diversité de communautés de plantes avec la faune associée. Les effets à long terme des feux liés à l'occupation par l'homme, datant peut-être de 50 000 ans, ont façonné la végétation du bien et le recours traditionnel au feu entretient la diversité des types de végétation. Prochaine diapo, s'il vous plaît. Le complexe accueille la population d'éléphants la plus grande et la plus écologiquement sûre d'Afrique de l'Ouest, représentant 85% des éléphants de savane de la région. Il protège aussi l'assemblage quasi complet de la flore et de la faune caractéristiques, offrant un habitat crucial à la plupart des espèces de grands mammifères typiques d'Afrique de l'Ouest, tels que le lamantin d'Afrique, le guépard, le lion, le léopard, le lycaon et le damalisque. Il abrite la seule population viable de lions de l'Afrique de l'Ouest et probablement la seule population de guépards d'Afrique de l'Ouest. Le bien présente aussi un taux d'endémisme particulièrement élevé pour les espèces de poissons. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. Le territoire des 4 parcs nationaux relève du domaine public. Il n'y a pas non plus de propriété privée dans les zones cynégétiques et cette activité est gérée par des concessions. Les États parties ont fourni des informations complémentaires sur la gestion des zones cynégétiques, indiquant que des quotas sont fixés chaque année et rigoureusement surveillés. Les données fournies montrent que ces quotas, entre 2014 et 2016, n'ont pas été dépassés ni même atteints pour aucune espèce durant les 3 années. Par contraste avec de nombreuses aires protégées de cette région, le complexe WAP reste en bon état et ne subit pas les effets adverses du braconnage et d'autres impacts. Diapo suivante, s'il vous plaît. La gestion des 2 parcs nationaux et des réserves naturelles de faune sauvage du Bénin incombe au Centre national de gestion des réserves de faune. Au Burkina Faso, il y a une dichotomie entre la gestion du parc national du W du Burkina Faso, qui est directement assurée par l'administration des forêts, soit la Direction générale des eaux et forêts, tandis que le parc national d'Arli est administré par l'Office national des aires protégées. Un plan magistral a été défini pour l'ensemble du complexe et tous les parcs nationaux du complexe ont des plans de gestion décennaux harmonisés pour la période 2014-2024. Au moment de la finalisation du rapport d'évaluation de l'UICN, il est noté que la gestion de l'élément Pendjari du bien était transférée par le Bénin à African Parks Network, une ONG ayant l'expérience de la gestion de nombreuses aires protégées en Afrique. L'UICN croit savoir que cette concession sera structurée comme un partenariat public-privé avec la gouvernance de la cogestion partagée entre African Parks Network et le gouvernement du Bénin. Au moment de l'évaluation, les détails n'étaient pas clairs, mais il sera important de garantir que tout changement dans le système de gestion continue de prioriser la protection de la valeur universelle exceptionnelle. Prochaine diapo, s'il vous plaît. En conclusion, l'UICN recommande que le comité approuve l'extension du parc national du W du Niger pour devenir le complexe du W Arli Pendjari au Bénin, Burkina Faso et Niger sur la liste du patrimoine mondial au titre des critères 9 et 10. Prochaine diapo. Merci. Le projet de décision se trouve en page 5 des versions anglaises et françaises du document 8B. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. Merci, Madame. Which means that now I invite the committee members to express the comments if they are any. Turkey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After the first component of this complex inscribed to the World Heritage List, it has been for 21 years. It's great to hear that these 3 state parties have completed all the requirements in terms of management, integration. So with this property, important gap in the area will be filled up, especially located in the transition zone between African savannas and Sudanese region. With considering the size of the property, close to 2 million hectares is great integrity. So we like to congratulate 3 countries putting these properties together and making the proposition for inscribing the list of World Heritage. That's why especially congratulate Benin and Burkina Faso, who will have the first nature conservation. So we favor the draft decision and support the inscription of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Portugal wishes to have the floor. The floor is yours, sir.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Portugal voudrait féliciter très chaleureusement le Bénin et le Burkina Faso pour cette extension du parc national W au Niger. Du point de vue naturel, cette extension est très importante et ce continuum de systèmes terrestres et aquatiques dans la savane d'Afrique de l'Ouest améliore davantage la capacité de gestion, à savoir l'habitat des espèces migratrices, et contribue à l'obtention de meilleurs résultats de conservation. Le Portugal encourage les États parties dans le renforcement de leurs efforts transfrontaliers pour une gestion conjointe de la région, de manière à aussi pouvoir faire face aux menaces qui pèsent encore sur la faune dans un cadre international. Un grand bravo pour le Bénin et le Burkina Faso et bien sûr aussi pour le Niger. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. Now Angola. Angola, you have the floor. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous accueillons avec satisfaction les projets de décision 41 comme B8.3. Il estime qu'une telle décision est une preuve de reconnaissance des efforts fournis dans la sauvegarde de la biodiversité au profit de l'humanité entière. Par conséquent, nous félicitons les États parties du Bénin, du Burkina et également du Niger pour l'inscription du complexe WAP sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Cependant, nous souhaitons partager avec les membres du comité les difficultés dont les États parties du Bénin et du Burkina font face dans la mise en œuvre accélérée de la recommandation numéro 5 figurant sur le projet de décision relative à la soumission d'une carte avec une échelle de 50 millièmes d'ici le 1er décembre 2017. En effet, les fonds de la carte existante au niveau de l'Institut géographique national au Bénin et de l'Institut géographique du Burkina Faso datent de la période de l'Afrique occidentale francophone, donc nous parlons des années 50. Toutefois, toutes les tentatives engagées pour contourner ces difficultés se sont avérées infructueuses. La préoccupation des États parties à produire la dite carte avec des informations requises a conduit les États concernés à demander la réalisation d'une nouvelle carte par ces deux institutions compétentes au niveau national. En plus du coût élevé du défi, 1 276 969 €, il y a besoin d'un délai minimum de 6 mois pour produire la dite carte. Malgré ces difficultés, les États parties concernés ont pris l'option de mobiliser les ressources nécessaires pour réaliser la dite carte. Les dispositions sont donc en cours et c'est la raison pour laquelle ils souhaitent repousser la réalisation du point 5 des recommandations au 1er décembre 2019. Finalement, l'Angola a proposé des amendements au projet de décision. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. Finland, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have before us a nomination that in an excellent manner represents the World Heritage Convention and the global strategy for a representative, balanced and credible World Heritage. 3 countries working closely together to improve the integrity of the property and enhancing the ecological connectivity of important ecosystems in Africa, West Africa. Moreover, we can today celebrate, as we just heard, both Burkina Faso's and Benin's first World Natural Heritage Site. Finland is delighted to approve this extension and sincerely conveys our congratulations to all 3 state parties. Thank you.
Thank you. The United Republic of Tanzania. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. We join Turkey and Angola to fully subscribe to the proposed extension of this important property and commend all the 3 state parties for the commendable effort which will add value to the African natural heritage conservation in general. We also support the proposal by Angola on item 5 of the decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Zimbabwe. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Zimbabwe also congratulates the 3 state parties, Burkina Faso, Benin, and Niger, for the work that they have done for the extension of this complex. We believe that the extension and also the collaboration between the three countries will in fact ensure greater protection of and conservation of the area and also improve the integrity of the site. Zimbabwe supports the amendment that is being proposed by Angola for the extension of the time under number 5 of the decision, and also supports the draft decision in terms of the inscription of this property under criteria 9 and 10. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Excellency. Kuwait has the floor. Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We congratulate the state parties of Burkina Faso, Benin, and Niger on providing our committee with a great example on transnational cooperation for the protection of our natural heritage of outstanding universal value. We admire the progressive approach to protection and management plan adopted for the site and the complex buffer zone system applied. It was a great pleasure studying the extension dossier and the learning exercise for me. The African region continues to provide us with outstanding examples of commitment towards heritage protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Tunisia. The floor is yours, sir. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La Tunisie a suivi ce dossier et apprécie à juste titre la coopération entre ces trois pays africains. Elle fait sienne la position des délégations, des distinguées délégations qui nous ont précédés. Nous félicitons donc les États partis pour tous les efforts fournis, en particulier, en citant en particulier le Bénin, et soutenons le projet d'extension du bien en prenant en compte l'amendement du respecté ambassadeur de l'Angola. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. Poland. Poland has the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Penjari complex is the largest and the most important continuum of terrestrial and semi-aquatic and aquatic ecosystems in West Africa. The property is huge, and it's more than 1.7 billion hectares of continuous mosaic and protected areas. There is no doubt to support the extension of the property to become the biggest complex of this kind of habitats in Africa. So we congratulate the state parties for the work they've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamaica. Jamaica has the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Jamaica congratulates the state parties of Benin, Burkina Faso, and Niger for the inscription of the Pendari complex as an extension of the National Park of Niger, a World Heritage Property since 1996. The extension results in the combination of 4 national parks, a transnational property across these 3 countries, resulting in an effective regional management framework, a co-management system with local populations, and a sustainable funding mechanism. The extended property is the largest and most important continuum of terrestrial, semi-aquatic, and aquatic ecosystems in the African savanna belt. The site's long-standing legal protection and sustained funding makes it, along with the high level of commitment of the state's parties to conservation management, an excellent addition to the World Heritage List. Jamaica also supports the recommendation of Angola and previous speakers in the adjustments to the draft decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam. Cuba. Cuba has the floor. The floor is yours. Madam.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Queremos felicitar a estos 3 estados partes por lograr la extensión de un sitio importante y relevante de los valores naturales y la conservación de la biodiversidad en el continente africano. Por tanto, queremos felicitarlo en nombre de nuestra delegación y que continúen trabajando, y apoyamos la propuesta de enmienda presentada por Angola. Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you. So the list of the interventions from the committee members is closed at the moment, and the floor goes to IUCN. If you have any comment, if you would like to take the floor, don't hesitate. If not, I'm happy. No intention, no need.
Mr. Chair, I think there were no questions, and I think there's just a proposal for what seems to be a very small amendment in terms of the dates for submission of further maps. As has been understood, IUCN's position is extremely supportive of this nomination, and we have no further comments to make. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you. Which means that now we shall visit Mr. Mohammad Juma, our rapporteur. Mr. the Rapporteur, how about the amendments concerning this very decision? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as has been said by ICN, there is an amendment which proposed by distinguished delegate of Angola. He suggests as an amendment in paragraph 5. Can we go down? Those colors there, they're just. Let me see. Yes. Up.
Shall we go down as the English version is concerned, please?
Yeah. English version.
English version. Para 5.
Yes. Yeah. Distinguished delegate of Angola, he's just proposed to amend the date from 2017 to 2019. That's all we have. Thank you.
So it is a very small amendment, but anyway, we shall follow the procedures. So, firstly, thank you, and now let's start with para 1. Para 1 adopted, para 2 adopted. Can I read that there are no amendments as para 3 is concerned? No amendments.
Mr. Chairman, no, there's no amendment. What has been seized as a color, that's for factual errors, which has been accepted by IUCN. So we just wanted to underline, but no amendments.
Adopted, para 4. A long one. So let's have the whole one. Shall we continue with para 4? Can I kindly ask to continue with para 4? Adopted. Para 5, it is this slight amendment. Adopted as amended. Para 6, adopted. Para 7, adopted, which means that I have a pleasure to declare decision 41,8b.3 adopted as amended. Congratulations, and the question is if there are any interventions.
I think Burkina will take
Burkina Faso. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, Madame la Directrice du Centre du patrimoine mondial, chers membres du comité et chers participants, le Burkina Faso voudrait profiter de votre auguste assemblée pour exprimer ses cordiales et sincères salutations aux autorités polonaises et au comité d'organisation de la 41e session pour l'accueil chaleureux dont bénéficie notre délégation et de la bonne organisation de la session. Monsieur le Président, l'aboutissement heureux du dossier d'inscription du complexe W. Arli Pandjari sur la liste des sites du patrimoine mondial naturel que nous célébrons aujourd'hui après votre décision témoigne de la bonne et franche collaboration entre les trois pays. J'ai nommé la République du Bénin, du Burkina Faso et de la République du Niger pour une gestion coordonnée et harmonisée de cette importante réserve mondiale de diversité biologique. Cette inscription interpelle donc nos 3 pays à redoubler d'efforts dans la gestion concertée du complexe. Monsieur le Président, je voudrais, au nom du gouvernement du Burkina Faso, remercier le Centre du patrimoine mondial, les membres du comité pour l'inscription de notre complexe W. Arli Pandjari et les partenaires techniques et financiers qui n'ont ménagé aucun effort pour accompagner le processus d'élaboration du dossier. Vive la coopération régionale et internationale, vive le Centre du patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie.
Merci, thank you. Dr. Resler is desperately trying to recognize the state party. Nija, the floor is yours. Benin was first, as I understand. So the floor goes to Benin. The floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président de la 41e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial, Madame la Directrice du Centre du patrimoine mondial, Mesdames et Messieurs les membres du Comité du patrimoine mondial, chers délégués, je voudrais d'abord remercier le gouvernement polonais et l'équipe d'organisation de la 41e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial pour l'accueil chaleureux et les conditions excellentes de séjour offertes à ma délégation. C'est avec un réel sentiment de fierté et de satisfaction que je voudrais, au nom du Bénin, manifester ma reconnaissance et ma gratitude à l'endroit de votre institution pour l'inscription de cet important joyau qu'est le complexe W. Arli Pendjari, premier site transfrontalier de savane et dernier refuge de la faune de la savane ouest-africaine partagé en 3 États parties. Je voudrais vous rassurer que les États parties sont conscients de l'importance de cette inscription et se sont d'ores et déjà engagés pour la sauvegarde de ce bien. En effet, le 24 janvier 2017, s'est tenue à Cotonou au Bénin une réunion des ministres en charge des aires protégées, des ressources halieutiques et du tourisme du Bénin, du Burkina Faso et du Niger. L'objectif de cette réunion était de donner des orientations pour une meilleure harmonisation des approches en matière de protection, de sécurisation et de valorisation de la biodiversité du complexe W. Arli Pendjari. Ce qui témoigne de la volonté des 3 États de répondre aux défis multiples d'assumer leurs obligations internationales. Monsieur le Président, je peux vous assurer que cette reconnaissance internationale du complexe W. Arli Pendjari sur la liste des biens du patrimoine mondial encourage nos États à mobiliser davantage de ressources afin d'assurer une surveillance permanente du complexe tout en créant les conditions nécessaires pour la promotion d'un tourisme durable, la valorisation des ressources naturelles avec l'implication des communautés riveraines et l'éducation des générations futures. Enfin, je voudrais au nom du Bénin féliciter le groupe régional d'experts qui a travaillé sur le dossier et remercier les administrations des 3 pays et l'ensemble des partenaires qui ont soutenu le processus d'inscription, à savoir bien entendu le Centre du patrimoine mondial, l'UICN, le Fonds pour le patrimoine mondial africain, l'École du patrimoine africain, la coopération allemande et l'Union européenne à travers l'UEMOA pour les efforts déjà consentis et à venir en faveur du complexe. Vive le complexe W. Arli Pendjari, bien du patrimoine mondial, vive la coopération régionale, vive la coopération internationale. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Excellency. Thank you very much indeed, and I shall once again express my personal gratitude for the presence of the Minister of Environment of Burkina Faso, who is with us. Thank you. And now the floor goes to Niger. Niger, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Mesdames et Messieurs, membres du comité, chers participants, le Niger, par ma voix, se réjouit de l'aboutissement heureux de ce processus, vu que l'État du Niger a joué un rôle déterminant dans le déclenchement de ce processus. Monsieur le Président, cette reconnaissance renforcera sans nul doute la collaboration, la cohésion des 3 États dans le cadre notamment de la mise en œuvre des activités régionales. Je voudrais à cette occasion, au nom de l'administration en charge des aires protégées du Niger, remercier tous les partenaires techniques et financiers qui ont accompagné ce processus. Je vous remercie.
Merci. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is not the end of the morning session. We have one, it is not the end of the morning session. Don't be afraid. We shall now discuss another item, China, Ching Ho Seal, draft decision 41.8b.4, and I do invite instinctively IUCN to present the nomination of the Ching Ho Seal, China. But before I give the floor to the Secretariat, of course, Mr. Balsamo, you have the floor as the first. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Before proceeding with the presentation of the evaluation of this nomination by IUCN, the World Heritage Center would like to inform the committee that we have received information asserting that the potential inscription on the World Heritage List of Hong Chil will represent a threat for the traditional way of life of Tibetan pastoralists present in the nominated area. As you know, in compliance with paragraphs 12 and 123 of the operational guidelines, state parties are encouraged to prepare a nomination with the widest possible participation of stakeholders, as well as to ensure the participation of a wide variety of stakeholders. The World Heritage Center sought comments by the state party on this assertion by sending 2 letters, and China replied on the 30th of June last, indicating that those assertions are inaccurate and indefensible, and that they do not reflect facts and realities. China stated that the government has never taken and will never take any forced relocation measure at the nominated property of Hoshil, and that is determined to protect the nominated property and to fully respect the will of local herders and their traditional culture, religious belief, and lifestyle. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Balsamo, and the floor goes to IUCN. IUCN, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. IUCN's evaluation of this property is on page 29 of the English version of the IUCN evaluation report and 31 of the French version. Next slide, please. Qinghai Hosil is located in Qinghai province in the northeastern part of the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau in China. The property is a single and very large contiguous area of more than 3.7 million hectares and comprises sectors of 2 adjoining protected areas and connects these 2 protected areas via 3 20-kilometre wide corridors which span the Qinghai-Tibet highway and railway. The sections of this transport corridor that are not included in the corridors, not included in the property, are designated as buffer zone areas. A further large area of buffer zone adjoins the nominated property to the east and south and also lies completely within the same 2 reserve areas, creating a total buffer zone of nearly 2.3 million hectares. According to the nomination, there are 35 households of 156 herders within the nominated property and 222 households of 985 herders and 250 other residents in the buffer zone. Next slide, please. The Qinghai Tibet Plateau is the largest, highest and youngest plateau in the world, and within this area, the nominated property encompasses an extensive area of alpine meadows and steppe ecosystems at elevations over 4,500 metres above sea level. It is the area with the highest concentration of lakes on the plateau, exhibiting an exceptional diversity of lake basins and inland lacustrine landscapes at high altitude. This very large scale of the area creates exceptional natural beauty, whose aesthetic values include an experience of wild nature. Next slide, please. The lake basins also provide the major calving grounds of the Tibetan antelope. In early summer each year, tens of thousands of female Tibetan antelopes migrate for hundreds of kilometers from wintering areas in Changtang in the west, the Altun Mountains in the north, and Sanjinwan in the east of Hosil into these basins to calve. The property secures the complete antelope migratory route between Sanjinwan and Hosil, supporting an unimpeded migration of Tibetan antelope, one of the endangered large mammal species endemic to the Plateau. It also covers parts of other migration routes. Next slide, please. High levels of endemism within the property are associated with high altitudes, the cold climate, and contribute to similarly high levels of endemism of the fauna. Alpine grasslands make up 45% of the total vegetation in the property. Over 1/3 of the higher plants found in the property are endemic to the plateau, and all of the herbivorous mammals that feed on these plants are also plateau endemics. The property is home to Tibetan antelope, Tibetan wild yak, Tibetan wild ass, Tibetan gazelle, wolf, brown bear, all of which are frequently seen. Next slide, please. All areas within the nominated property are state-owned protected areas, protected at the national level. A management system and a coordination mechanism has been established to ensure that there are human and financial resources by engaging the support of central and local governments, NGOs, and research institutions. And the conservation and management of the property will be guided by the Shanghai Hosil Property Management Plan, which has a vision and objectives to maintain the outstanding universal value of the property. Next slide, please. IUCN recognises the long-standing traditional use of the property by nomadic herders, which has coexisted with nature conservation since time immemorial. IUCN considers that it is imperative that questions of rights, access and traditional use are addressed rigorously and carefully by the state party and with the attention of this committee and in full consultation. The World Heritage nomination must not be used to justify any deprivation of traditional land use rights of the concerned communities. IUCN raised issues having heard concerns during its mission and received assurances from the state party that there will be no forced relocation or exclusion of traditional users from the nominated site, whether before or after, if the application for World Heritage status. Those points are noted in our evaluation report. IUCN wishes to state very clearly and reiterate we do not see any incompatibility between nature conservation and the traditional use of this site by nomadic herders, and the committee has heard the issues that have been raised by the World Heritage Centre, and the committee should be sure in its decision that it is something that supports unequivocally the rights of the traditional Tibetan pastoralists. This is something which is necessary to be consistent with the operational guidelines and to be consistent with the sustainable development policies of this convention and more widely with international rights norms. Next slide, please. A most obvious current threat to the property is the transportation corridor that runs across the property at the boundary between the two nature reserves. The corridor includes a highway and a railway and has the potential to severely affect the migration route of the Tibetan antelope and the movement of other species. There are a range of management measures in place that facilitate the migration at key times, including traffic control, speed limits, and the railway has underpasses which allow animals to pass unimpeded. Any planned upgrading of the road should be subject to a very strict environmental impact assessment and consider alternative routes and mitigation measures to ensure that migratory patterns are unaffected. Next slide, please. IUCN's conclusion from our evaluation, concluding with all the information we had received up to the end of February, is a recommendation to the World Heritage Committee to inscribe Shanghai Hosil on the World Heritage List under natural criteria 7 and 10. And last slide, please. The draft decision is set out at page 7 of the English version and page 8 of the French version of Working Document 8B. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So if so, now it's time to invite the committee members to express their comments. The floor is open. Portugal, the first. Portugal, the floor is yours, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Allow me to congratulate China for the nomination of this property, which from a natural point of view encompasses a significant number of endemic species and is very important for the migration and reproduction of Tibetan antelopes. Climate change has been reported as a threat in this area, and this concern should be addressed within the monitoring of the natural values in the context of the properties management system. As regards the involvement of all stakeholders in the site's protection, we know how local communities and their traditional users contribute to preserve the landscape and the conservation of species and their habitats, and are thus integral elements for the efficient conservation of this property. This coexistence seems to be an essential dimension of the property's outstanding universal value and should be thoroughly upheld and safeguarded. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Poland now. Poland has the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property represents an extraordinary beauty of alpine mountains and steppe systems at high elevation. High levels of endemism of flora and fauna fully support the inscription on the basis of Criterion 10. Considering inaccessibility of and tough climate, which keep the property free from strong human influences, and the large area of Plateau, it's almost 4 million hectares, could be, in our opinion, in the future, the reason to inscribe it also under Criterion 9. However, it should be combined with a long tradition of grazing regime that coexists with and creates the diversity of nature. We are sure that the property deserve for the inscription on the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Finland. Finland has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finland wishes to express our warmest congratulations to China. We are very pleased to include a part of the Shanghai Tibetan Plateau area on the World Heritage List. It is indeed a remarkable landscape with many endemic species such as the Tibetan antelope and wild yak. Finland has also taken note of the issues expressed by representatives for the Tibetan nomads, and we emphasize the importance of involving local communities and stakeholders in the management of the property. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Kuwait. Kuwait has the floor. The floor is yours, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The magnificence and rare beauty of the site calls for our attention to the issue of climate change that was discussed during the first days in our committee. We need to join forces towards sustainable strategies to prevent any potential damages that might occur in the future. I've recently visited China, and although the visit was to see other nominations, on behalf of my delegation, I would like to express my sincere admirations to the commitment and excellence that the People's Republic of China demonstrates in enriching the diversity of our World Heritage. Congratulations.
Thank you. Philippines. The floor is yours, Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Philippines recognizes the outstanding universal value, integrity, and authenticity of Shanghai Hojil as a property worthy of inclusion to the World Heritage List. This was indeed a very beautiful dossier and a pleasure to read. The site itself is apparently breathtaking. Shanghai Hojil, considered to be the world's third pole, sits on the Shanghai Tibetan Plateau, the largest and highest plateau in the world. It is composed of a system of alpine mountains, steppe, and wetlands. Hence the phrase, 3 mountains surrounding 2 basins. Its magnificent landscape lends a habitat to the herds of rare wild yaks and antelopes and other associated species. We therefore congratulate and laud the State Party for its impressive efforts. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shanghai Hojil, located in the vast Shanghai Tibetan Plateau, which marks its place as the largest, highest, and youngest plateau in the world. The unique geographical formation and climatic conditions of the property nurture a unique biodiversity. The Republic of Korea is happy to see this property with high levels of endemism in flora and fauna be inscribed on the World Heritage List, and sincerely wish that the magnificent natural features, together with the biodiversity as is found in the site, can be protected for the benefit of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Turkey. I recognize also Lebanon, and if you could kindly just let me to analyze just for a while the current situation, because there is a growing number of the distinguished state parties ready to take the floor, and it is 1 a.m. sharp, so I do propose to continue simply and to finish our discussion on this very item just after the lunch, to give everybody a chance. But do forgive me, because also of interpreters and because of all those side events and meetings concerning operational guidelines, we shall be quite strict, or I shall be quite strict, if you allow me. So Turkey is the last before the lunch, if I may, and the floor is yours. And we do continue afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will not be speaking long. This is the extreme climate, topography, and the beauty represented site. We'd like to commend China to bringing this nomination, and we'd like to congratulate them for this inscription. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are not finishing. We will continue after the lunch concerning this very item. But now, traditionally, Madam Tocharova has important information. Madam Tocharova, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The first event that I would mention is not on the screens in front of you. Let me just remind you that the committee had decided that the operational guidelines working group will meet at 2 p.m. from on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of July. So this is the first meeting to be announced. It's 2 p.m. at the theater hall, which is basically the bureau room. As you can see on the screens, there are 3 side events. One organized by the World Heritage Center and the African World Heritage Foundation concerning Atlantic slave trade, and 2 other events that are organized by IUCN and partners on wilderness and large landscapes and seascapes in the Chamber Hall, the AB room, and the benefits of natural world heritage also on the 3rd floor in the Chamber Room. Please note as well that there is an exhibition of the Warsaw Rising 1944 of the Warsaw Rising Museum on level -2. These are the announcements for the lunch break, and we expect States Parties Committee members to attend the OG working group at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare the end of the morning session. Enjoy the lunch break, and we shall see each other again at 3. This very session is closed.